classical Christian has its roots in, we can go all the way back to Plato's Academy.
Right.
And so Greco-Roman culture started this movement really of classically educating its citizens.
Interesting.
And before really the 1900s, classical education was the only type of education. It is what everyone received. So students received a heavy doctrinal focus when they were being taught. They were taught in virtues and manners, and it was heavy on the liberal arts. And that's classical Christian roots, right? And it sorts itself through the Trivium.
Okay.
But in the United States, once the progressive model of education began taking over in the 1900s, we didn't see the classical movement completely eradicated, but we did see it, you saw a downtick in schools that were able to operate with that mission in mind. And it really wasn't until 1980 in Kansas, I believe, that we saw the first classical Christian school really rise up again. And then it started to renew itself, and it's still renewing itself. And so just last year, I believe the ACCS planted with its heads of schools around 100 school plants in the United States. And those are startups, and some of them function as homeschool co-ops.
Okay.
Some of them are academy model schools, which means you do, 3 days on, 2 days off, and parents are specifically trained to teach. And then there are 5-day schools like Legacy Christian, like some of the schools here in Indiana as well.
Yeah. So just because a school is a Christian school doesn't mean it's a part of a classical Christian education, right? Or the ACCS?
Yes, that is correct. Classical is a specific pedagogy, a way of teaching that is not found in the public sphere. We specifically focus ourselves around the Trivium and the liberal arts.
Okay.
And so the Trivium is a way of organizing education. That's probably the easiest way to say it to someone who might not know what it is. And there is a grammar stage, there is a logic phase, and then there is a rhetoric phase. And none of these phases alone can be classical. They're all classical, right?
Yeah.
So if you were to, it's hard to imagine if we were to move back to New Hampshire and say, we are only starting a 9 through 12 classical school. Well, it wouldn't really be classical because kids need the grammar stage as well as the logic stage in order to really see growth and fruit in grades 9 through 12 when they're learning the art of speaking well and loving things that are beautiful.
That's really cool. Can you explain those 3 stages in more detail?
Yes. So the grammar stage is typically grades 1 through 4. It's lower elementary, and kids learn to know and imitate the truth. So we utilize some specific teaching methods such as narration, which is the telling back in detail of something. We use recitation so that they're reciting things in front of others. And we use songs and jingles quite a bit to teach our students the importance of memory. And so we tap into that natural development. The logic phase is roughly 5th through 8th grade. Students tend to be developmentally at that stage much more argumentative, and they're interested in arguing. And so we tap into that, and we teach them the art of argument. So students learn fallacies. They learn how to figure out the holes of an argument. And then as they move on towards the rhetoric stage of learning, they begin to really articulate what they're learning and speak well. And the focus is on a lifelong love of learning. So eventually when you graduate, you want to have graduates who are compelling communicators, critical thinkers, able learners. They love truth, goodness, and beauty, which are the 3 tenets of a classical education, and they begin to see that in all of their perspective, as they approach culture and life, and that's it's a special component of classical education that is not found in the public sphere or found in Christian schools.